Hey guys, Ricky here. This week we're looking at a challenge from our friend Chundok. We're going to be woodworking. Woodworking is a pretty broad category of work, pretty much like everything else that we try to learn in 20 hours. But we're going to try to focus it a little bit this week, and then we're going to make a coffee table. We have a shop here at school, so we have access to the machinery that we're going to need. Probably not going to need a whole lot because we're not doing anything fancy, maybe just a drill, a saw, a sander. In terms of procedure and what we're going to do this week specifically, we're going to first check out the shop, see what they have, what we can use, and then practice on the machines a little bit with the scrap pieces of wood that they have. Then we're going to draw out and model our table on paper before we shop for the wood. And then after we get the wood, it's just going to be time in the shop, sawing, drilling, piecing everything together, and then putting the finishing touches on it. But it sounds pretty simple. Hopefully it is actually in practice. So let's get to it. So we got safety certified, so we're going to be going to the shop to see what we can use. We also have a friend there who's willing to show us around, so I'm pretty excited. But let's go. Here we are, guys. We're at Home Depot. We're getting our supplies for the coffee table. You look over here, it's a bunch of wood, but in 20 hours, this will magically turn itself into a coffee table. So we got our wood, and we're going to be using a model of the table that someone else built. They posted the wood lengths and the materials, and so we're going to be following that. We actually drew up our own model to make sure that we understood how the lengths worked. So we're going to be following that. Let's get to it. So when we last left off, we cut the aprons and the legs of the table, which didn't take actually all that long when we were just measuring and used the chop saw to do that. I'm going to start by building the base of the table, and the thing to watch out for here is the pocket holes. So these are the things that connects the aprons with the legs actually, and we don't have a Craig jig, so we're going to have to finagle our drill a little bit around in order to get that right. Working with 2-inch wood screws for the aprons, and so we'll see how that goes. Alright guys, we got to putting in the supports yesterday. It seems like they're not holding super well, so we're going to try to fasten them in a little bit more today. Seems like we're on track to finish pretty soon, so we're going to put the finishing touches on it, and then we're going to start staining and putting the oil finishes on it today and tomorrow. If you guys take a look over here, you see that this is not completely flush. There's a little bit of a protrusion on both sides. And then right here, we have this piece that's not really forced in right. You see the screw is kind of protruding outwards. So we're gonna try to fix those two today. Now this looks a lot nicer than what we had when we first started out. And right here, this one kind of stands out a little bit. On this side, not completely flush. So on slight indent over here. For the most part, it's a lot better actually. So this is roughly what our table is gonna look like in the end. And I say roughly because we haven't sanded it yet. So you can see it's really starting to come together. So we're actually gonna sand our table first. It's probably gonna be easier than sanding it later, especially if we have to get the corners and the edges. So we have 240 grade sandpaper and we're gonna be working on that. So now we're getting to the final assembly. This is getting pretty exciting. So we need to drill in the top planks through the supports, and then we're pretty much done. So we don't have precise measurements on where the base sits in relation to the top planks, so hopefully this will turn out okay. Alright, last one. My legs are killing me. Ooh, wow. Where's the tongue? Ladies and gentlemen, here we have it. Our coffee table. So now we're gonna stain our table. We sanded it down and we got a can of mahogany 225. So we're gonna put it on, apply it, let it sit for 10-ish minutes, then wipe it off evenly, and then we're gonna let it sit for a few hours before putting on our oil layer. guys, we're technically at the end of our week. I'm pretty surprised at how this table turned out aesthetically. Don't know quite what I was expecting, but probably not something this urbane. The top feels pretty smooth right now. In terms of the finish, it feels almost non-existent. You can see that there's actually very little sheen on it. It's hard to capture it on camera. In terms of the rest of the table, we kind of slacked off sanding the legs. And so we can see that the stain is pretty uneven there. Also at the top, the first few dabs, we got it really dark over there, but then evened out a little bit. Structure-wise, it feels sturdy, but I haven't tried sitting on it yet. Perhaps we'll table that idea. It stands without wobbling, so in that sense, I feel like it's a success. End of the week evaluation, this was fun. I enjoyed it a lot. Don't know when I would ever go use a chop saw and find a drill and put together a table, but man, we got that on check now. Again, I enjoyed this a whole lot. I hope you guys did too. If you have any suggestions for future challenges or things to do, please leave them in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you next week.